My name is Evangeline, and the night they laughed at my car is the night I decided to stop living small. It was an old hatchback with honest scars. The paint had faded on the hood. The driver's door clicked twice before it sealed. When it rained, the vents carried the scent of wet leaves and coffee. I bought it in a hard year and kept it alive with careful hands. Carried me to night shifts. It carried me to my father's appointments. It never failed me, even when I failed myself. We gathered at my sister Lena's house for Sunday dinner. The table was the size of a boat. The chandelier cast soft gold across crystal and silver. My brother Armand told a story about a promotion. My mother Madeline poured wine with the grace of a queen. My partner Roman arrived late with that easy smile that once made me feel safe. He kissed my cheek. He took my keys from the bowl. He flipped the fob like a coin. "You still drive this little thing?" he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. Lena's laugh landed first. Armand added a whistle. Madeline pressed her lips in a smile that was almost kind. Roman raised the fob again, as if to prove the joke had an object. "We could push it to the curb by hand," he said. "It would be faster." The words seemed light. They were not light. They were heavy because they were public. Laughter made the weight shareable. I felt heat climb my neck. I set down my glass. I told myself to breathe. I told myself to smile. I did both because surviving the moment sometimes looks like agreeing with it. Roman rested his hand on my shoulder. "We will get you something worthy," he said, still smiling. My name became an object in his mouth. The room moved on. The joke stayed. After dinner I stepped outside alone. The night was clear. The hatchback waited at the curb like a faithful dog. I ran my fingers over the dent near the tail light and counted each blemish like prayer beads. It was not beautiful. It was honest. The laughter had not been honest. It had been a performance, and my partner had chosen the stage over me. On the drive home the engine hummed with a small stubborn rhythm. My phone buzzed on the seat. It was an email from the bank. An alert about a transfer. I did not open it. I wanted one last quiet mile. In my apartment I set the keys on the counter and opened the message. The subject line was bland. The number inside was not. A four-figure movement labeled maintenance. I frowned. I had not approved any work. I checked the recent statements. A second transfer appeared 2 days earlier. The third sat 1 week back. Each was larger than the last. Each wore the same mild mask. Maintenance. Upgrade. Service. I stared at the screen until the numbers blurred. Roman had access to the joint account we used for shared bills. I had trusted him with that key. I had trusted him with other keys as well. Trust is a door. It opens. It also lets things leave. I printed the statements and laid them side by side. The dates formed a ladder. The memos formed a chorus. I highlighted the largest line. My hands trembled but my breath steadied. Rage wanted to run. I made it walk. I thought of my father. He taught me to hold receipts like evidence. He said, "Paper tells a story when voices rise." I gathered paper. I placed a blank notebook beside it. I wrote the date. I wrote the word laughter. I wrote the word transfer. The ink dried like a vow. In the morning Roman brewed coffee and whistled. He asked about the roast as if nothing sharp lived between us. I watched him move through the kitchen we shared. His body knew the drawers. His voice filled the spaces. I asked him about the bank. He lifted a shoulder. "Small tune-ups," he said. "Do not worry." He kissed my temple and left for work. The door clicked. The silence after a false answer is never empty. It vibrates. I opened my glove box to find a service booklet. Instead, my fingers touched a folded receipt I had never seen. The paper was thick, printed with the name of a dealership in another town. Marquez Imports. The figure at the bottom was not 4 digits. It was 5 with a note for a pending balance. The word deposit sat next to it. The signature at the line belonged to Roman. My chest tightened. The receipt bore a vehicle description I did not recognize. Black. Sport utility. Luxury package. A temporary plate number was written in neat block letters. The date was last week. Laughter from last night reassembled itself in my head. Now threaded with this ink. They were not only mocking what I had. Someone was already spending what we had. I put the receipt between the bank prints. The story grew a spine. I sat very still at my small table. Outside, a bus coughed and moved on. Somewhere a child shouted. The ordinary world kept its rhythm. Inside, my life shifted by a degree that felt like an earthquake. I did not call Roman. I did not call Lena. I did not call anyone. I wrote a second word in the notebook. Plan. I would not stage a scene. I would not cry on the phone. I would do what the law respects. I would gather. I would confirm. I would time. I would act where witnesses could see and where a judge could sign. The hatchback key lay cool under my palm. I closed my fingers around it and felt something strange. It was not shame. It was resolve. The car they mocked had carried me through storms. It would carry me into the next morning, to the first place on the receipt, to a name printed in ink. I started the engine and checked the email again before I pulled away. A new alert had arrived while I sat. The amount made my breath hitch. $70,000 had moved. Labeled with one word, deposit. The destination matched the dealership on the receipt. The bank alert sat on my screen like a lit match. $70,000. One word beside it, deposit. The destination matched the name on the receipt in my glove box. Marquez Imports. I drove there at noon. The building was glass and chrome, cooled like a vault. A wall of polished cars faced the sun. A receptionist smiled the way people smile when their job is to make hunger look elegant. I need to speak with a manager, I said. About a deposit. A man in a charcoal suit appeared. Diego Marquez, he said. His handshake was practiced. His eyes measured. How can I help you? I set the folded receipt on a glass desk. This is my partner's signature, I said. Funds came from a joint account. I did not consent. Diego glanced once, then twice. He nodded. Yes, he said. Deposit received. Vehicle in detail now. Delivery pending. Pending to whom? I asked. He shifted. To the buyer's nominee, he said. For privacy. He slid a paper across the desk. A trust name rested at the top. Finch Estate Services. The contact on the line was H. Finch. My name is not on this, I said. Diego's smile remained, but it thinned. Payments were in order, he said. The remainder is scheduled. Registration will finalize through the nominee. A temporary plate has been issued. He tapped a clipboard. The plate number matched the one on my receipt. Black. Sport utility. Luxury package. Where is the vehicle now? I asked. In our secured facility, he said. Transport later tonight. Cancel the transaction, I said. We cannot, he said gently. Funds cleared. Title work in progress. You may discuss with the trust. I took a photo of the deposit slip. I took a photo of the plate record. He allowed it as if he had nothing to fear. Then, without thinking, I turned my phone and caught our reflection in the glass. His face calm. Mine set. The car behind us gleamed like a promise I did not want. Outside, heat rose from the lot in slow waves. I sat in the hatchback and called the bank. A woman with a careful voice explained the rules. The transfers were authorized from a joint account, she said. Under the terms, either party may initiate. We can flag the account. We cannot reverse without a report. Flag it, I said. Now. I drove home with my jaw tight. The hatch hummed its stubborn song. On the stairs, my neighbor, Harper Lynn, paused with a grocery bag in her arms. Everything okay? She asked. Not yet, I said. Soon. In the kitchen, I set out what I had. The bank printouts. The deposit receipt. The trust name. I opened my laptop and searched for Finch Estate Services. A sparse site. A phone number. A correspondence address in another city. A line about nominee privacy. My phone lit with Roman's name. I stared at it and let it go dark. He texted instead. Dinner at Lena's again. Wear blue. He wrote as if the world was unchanged. At 6 he arrived with tulips and a grin. He placed a hand on the table near the bank papers. He did not look down. He looked at me. I saw the transfers, I said. For us, he said. For you. He kissed the air. We cannot arrive in that little car forever. You deserve better. Better means consent, I said. Better means my name. He laughed softly. You will love it when you see it, he said. Everyone will. Your mother will be proud. Armand will stop needling. Imagine it. You pull up. No one laughs. He turned humiliation into gift. He dressed theft in ribbon. He made the word everyone sound like a verdict. My skin prickled. Where is the title? I asked. In process, he said. Do not ruin the surprise. I do not want a surprise, I said. I want respect. His eyes cooled. Do not be dramatic, he said. Trust me. Trust me. Two small words that always arrive late and ask too much. He left for Lena's with a whistle. I did not follow. I called Nadia instead. I told her what Diego said. I told her the trust name. I told her the bank could not undo. You need counsel, Nadia said. Tonight. Get every page you can. Save to multiple places. Do not confront at a table where they are waiting to laugh. I scanned everything and sent copies to a secure email. I saved to a drive I kept in a drawer behind the flour canister. I wrote the time in my notebook. I wrote 2 more words. Nominee trust. Near midnight, I drove past the address printed on the transport line. A warehouse with chain link and floodlights. A black SUV idled near a bay door. The temporary plate matched the record. 2 men spoke in low tones. One wore a jacket with a small crest stitched above the pocket. The crest looked like a finch. I watched with my lights off. I memorized the shape of their hands. The SUV eased onto a flatbed. It rode past my fender like a ship. For a moment I saw my own reflection in its door. Small. Clear. Set. Back home I opened my email to send Nadia the photos. A new message sat at the top with a subject line that froze me. Your signature has been recorded. The sender was an e-sign service. Title addendum completed, it said. My name appeared in the greeting. There was a link to a document I had not seen. I clicked. The page loaded slowly. A form appeared with my name typed above a digital loop that looked like my hand. The addendum named me co-owner. It cited consent. It cited benefit. The signature timestamp listed that evening. The internet address beside it did not belong to me. My pulse drummed in my ears. Someone had signed for me. Someone wanted my name on paper so that silence would become consent in ink. A second email arrived seconds later. If you did not sign, click here to report fraud. I hovered over the link. I hovered over the phone. I hovered over the next breath. Below the fraud link lay a small line of boilerplate text. If you need help, contact the issuing party. The issuing party line read Finch Estate Services. A phone number followed. The digits looked polite. They looked like a door. I clicked report. The form opened for a statement. My fingers moved and my mind went white. I typed the truth in short lines. I did not sign. I was not present. Funds moved without consent. Please freeze the process. I hit send. The page confirmed receipt with a T number. It felt like a rope thrown over a cliff edge. It did not pull me up yet. It kept me from falling farther. Headlights washed my window. I parted the curtain. A transport truck rolled past my building and stopped 2 doors down. The black SUV slid off the flatbed and settled to the curb. A man stepped out and glanced at my window, only a flick. He placed an envelope under a wiper and drove away. I pulled on a coat and went out into the night. The envelope was white and heavy. My name was printed in block letters. Inside, a card carried 1 sentence in neat script. Delivery tomorrow, family present. The location was Lena's address. The time was noon. On the back of the card, in a smaller hand, someone added a second line. Smile for the cameras, Evangeline. A dot of ink bled after my name, like the tip of a pen had paused. The bank alert sat on my screen like a lit match. $70,000. 1 word beside it, deposit. The destination matched the name on the receipt in my glove box. Marquez Imports. I drove there at noon. The building was glass and chrome, cooled like a vault. A wall of polished cars faced the sun. A receptionist smiled the way people smile when their job is to make hunger look elegant. I need to speak with a manager, I said. About a deposit. A man in a charcoal suit appeared. Diego Marquez, he said. His handshake was practiced. His eyes measured. How can I help you? I set the folded receipt on a glass desk. This is my partner's signature, I said. Funds came from a joint account. I did not consent. Diego glanced once, then twice. He nodded. Yes, he said. Deposit received. Vehicle in detail now. Delivery pending. Pending to whom? I asked. He shifted. To the buyer's nominee, he said. For privacy. He slid a paper across the desk. A trust name rested at the top. Finch Estate Services. The contact on the line was H. Finch. My name is not on this, I said. Diego's smile remained, but it thinned. Payments were in order, he said. The remainder is scheduled. Registration will finalize through the nominee. A temporary plate has been issued. He tapped a clipboard. The plate number matched the one on my receipt. Black. Sport utility. Luxury package. Where is the vehicle now? I asked. In our secured facility, he said. Transport later tonight. Cancel the transaction, I said. We cannot, he said gently. Funds cleared. Title work in progress. You may discuss with the trust. I took a photo of the deposit slip. I took a photo of the plate record. He allowed it as if he had nothing to fear. Then, without thinking, I turned my phone and caught our reflection in the glass. His face calm. Mine set. The car behind us gleamed like a promise I did not want. Outside, heat rose from the lot in slow waves. I sat in the hatchback and called the bank. A woman with a careful voice explained the rules. The transfers were authorized from a joint account, she said. Under the terms, either party may initiate. We can flag the account. We cannot reverse without a report. Flag it, I said. Now. I drove home with my jaw tight. The hatch hummed its stubborn song. On the stairs, my neighbor, Harper Lynn, paused with a grocery bag in her arms. Everything okay? She asked. Not yet, I said. Soon. In the kitchen, I set out what I had. The bank printouts. The deposit receipt. The trust name. I opened my laptop and searched for Finch Estate Services. A sparse site. A phone number. A correspondence address in another city. A line about nominee privacy. My phone lit with Roman's name. I stared at it and let it go dark. He texted instead. Dinner at Lena's again. Wear blue. He wrote as if the world was unchanged. At 6 he arrived with tulips and a grin. He placed a hand on the table near the bank papers. He did not look down. He looked at me. I saw the transfers, I said. For us, he said. For you. He kissed the air. We cannot arrive in that little car forever. You deserve better. Better means consent, I said. Better means my name. He laughed softly. You will love it when you see it, he said. Everyone will. Your mother will be proud. Armand will stop needling. Imagine it. You pull up. No one laughs. He turned humiliation into gift. He dressed theft in ribbon. He made the word everyone sound like a verdict. My skin prickled. Where is the title? I asked. In process, he said. Do not ruin the surprise. I do not want a surprise, I said. I want respect. His eyes cooled. Do not be dramatic, he said. Trust me. Trust me. 2 small words that always arrive late and ask too much. He left for Lena's with a whistle. I did not follow. I called Nadia instead. I told her what Diego said. I told her the trust name. I told her the bank could not undo. You need counsel, Nadia said. Tonight. Get every page you can. Save to multiple places. Do not confront at a table where they are waiting to laugh. I scanned everything and sent copies to a secure email. I saved to a drive I kept in a drawer behind the flour canister. I wrote the time in my notebook. I wrote 2 more words. Nominee trust. Near midnight, I drove past the address printed on the transport line. A warehouse with chain link and floodlights. A black SUV idled near a bay door. The temporary plate matched the record. 2 men spoke in low tones. One wore a jacket with a small crest stitched above the pocket. The crest looked like a finch. I watched with my lights off. I memorized the shape of their hands. The SUV eased onto a flatbed. It rode past my fender like a ship. For a moment I saw my own reflection in its door. Small. Clear. Set. Back home I opened my email to send Nadia the photos. A new message sat at the top with a subject line that froze me. Your signature has been recorded. The sender was an e-sign service. Title addendum completed, it said. My name appeared in the greeting. There was a link to a document I had not seen. I clicked. The page loaded slowly. A form appeared with my name typed above a digital loop that looked like my hand. The addendum named me co-owner. It cited consent. It cited benefit. The signature timestamp listed that evening. The internet address beside it did not belong to me. My pulse drummed in my ears. Someone had signed for me. Someone wanted my name on paper so that silence would become consent in ink. A second email arrived seconds later. If you did not sign, click here to report fraud. I hovered over the link. I hovered over the phone. I hovered over the next breath. Below the fraud link lay a small line of boilerplate text. If you need help, contact the issuing party. The issuing party line read Finch Estate Services. A phone number followed. The digits looked polite. They looked like a door. I clicked report. The form opened for a statement. My fingers moved and my mind went white. I typed the truth in short lines. I did not sign. I was not present. Funds moved without consent. Please freeze the process. I hit send. The page confirmed receipt with a T number. It felt like a rope thrown over a cliff edge. It did not pull me up yet. It kept me from falling farther. Headlights washed my window. I parted the curtain. A transport truck rolled past my building and stopped 2 doors down. The black SUV slid off the flatbed and settled to the curb. A man stepped out and glanced at my window, only a flick. He placed an envelope under a wiper and drove away. I pulled on a coat and went out into the night. The envelope was white and heavy. My name was printed in block letters. Inside, a card carried one sentence in neat script. Delivery tomorrow, family present. The location was Lena's address. The time was noon. On the back of the card, in a smaller hand, someone added a second line. Smile for the cameras, Evangeline. A dot of ink bled after my name, like the tip of a pen had paused. The man in the suit crossed the lawn with steady steps. He pressed the envelope into my hand in front of my entire family, the neighbors, and even the ribbon-draped SUV. My name was spelled in bold across the front. Evangeline Whitford. I tore it open, my hands shaking but my voice steady. Inside were papers stamped with legal seals. A petition for joint ownership of property. Roman's name sat at the top as petitioner. My name had been typed under respondent. The words blurred for a moment, but the meaning was sharp. He had already moved to make the SUV ours under law. My supposed consent, forged through digital signature, had been filed. The laughter that had once been about my car turned into a hush. Madeline gasped. Armand's face twisted. Lena lowered her camera, caught between shame and curiosity. Roman raised his chin, his mask slipping back into place. It's official now, he said loudly, his voice aimed at the crowd. We are building a future together. She just didn't tell you yet. I turned to him, binder still in hand. You forged my name, I said. And you will face the law for it. Gasps scattered like leaves. Nadia filmed everything, her phone steady in her hand. She whispered to me, "This is bigger now. We need legal muscle." That evening, when the crowd had thinned and my family avoided my eyes, I met Nadia at a cafe downtown. She had already made a call. A woman in a sharp navy suit entered with a leather briefcase. Siobhan Reed, she introduced herself. Her handshake was firm, her eyes unwavering. Nadia tells me you have evidence. I slid the binder across the table. She opened it and scanned quickly, her expression unreadable until she reached the forged e-signature. Her brow arched. Classic digital manipulation. Easy to prove if you have the IP traces. I do, I said. She nodded. Good. We build from here. First step, we file for an injunction. That freezes the SUV and any transfers related to it. Second, we submit your evidence of fraud to the court. Third, we prepare for pushback. He will not fold quietly. Men like Roman rarely do. Her calm steadied me. Nadia leaned forward. He's staging everything. He wants her humiliated, painted as dramatic. But with proof, we flip the stage. Siobhan smiled faintly. Public humiliation can cut both ways. He made you a spectacle. We will make him a lesson. The next days blurred into action. Quentin traced more payments tied to the trust, uncovering small deposits routed back into shell accounts. Siobhan prepared motions. Nadia gathered witnesses. Even Harper, my neighbor, offered a statement about the envelope under the SUV's wiper. Meanwhile, Roman texted me constantly. First, apologies. I just wanted to give you more. Then anger. You're ruining everything for no reason. Finally, threats. If you keep this up, they'll see you as ungrateful and bitter. I saved each message. Screenshots went into the binder. At night I stared at the hatchback parked outside. Its dents and worn paint looked almost noble now. It was honest. It had never pretended to be more than it was. Unlike the SUV, a lie on 4 wheels. 3 days later, Siobhan called. The court has granted a preliminary freeze. The SUV cannot be transferred, sold, or titled until the fraud claim is reviewed. Relief washed through me, but she didn't pause. Be ready. He will escalate. She was right. That evening, Roman arrived at my apartment uninvited. He carried tulips again, the same false piece as before. Evangeline, stop this madness, he said. You're making yourself look foolish. Take the SUV. Call it ours. We can move past this. I stood in the doorway, binder in my arms like armor. You forged my name, I repeated. You laughed at me. You tried to erase my voice. That ends now. His eyes hardened. You'll regret this, he whispered, too low for anyone else to hear. Then he turned, his footsteps echoing down the hall. Nadia's voice echoed in my memory. No outbursts. No bargains. Facts. A lawyer. Now. I sat at my kitchen table, pen in hand, and added a new word to my notebook. Counterplan. The next morning, Quentin called me before dawn. His voice was urgent. Evangeline, we found something. Roman isn't acting alone. There's another name on the ledger, tied to Finch Estate Services. And it belongs to someone you know. Quentin's words rang through the phone like a bell tolling. Another name. Someone you know. I gripped the receiver. Who? He paused, choosing each word. Your brother. Armand. His signature appears on a coordination fee. It links directly to Finch Estate Services. He didn't just laugh at your car, Evangeline. He helped build this scheme. The room tilted. My own brother. The same man who smirked when Roman held up my keys at dinner. The same man who never missed a chance to remind me how little I had. My pulse thudded in my ears. Are you sure? I asked. Quentin's voice was calm. The ledger doesn't lie. It's one payment, then another. Small enough to look harmless. Large enough to prove intent. I thanked him and ended the call, though my hands trembled. When I met Siobhan and Nadia at her office that afternoon, I laid out the new evidence. The sunlight caught the edges of the documents, making them look like something carved in glass. Siobhan tapped her pen against Armand's signature. This complicates things, she said. It turns family into adversaries. But it also strengthens your case. If the trust was fed by multiple family members, it looks like a conspiracy to launder assets under your nose. Courts do not look kindly on that. Nadia frowned. But she can't face them all alone. They'll close ranks. Siobhan's eyes sharpened. Then we build the counterplan so tight they cannot wriggle free. We mapped it together. Step 1. Secure sworn statements from Diego Marquez, the dealer. Even if reluctant, he had records. Step 2. Expand the injunction to freeze not only the SUV, but also any accounts tied to Finch Estate Services. Step 3. Prepare for the spectacle. You were humiliated publicly, Siobhan said. We will time the reveal publicly. The next family event will be our stage. With the right witnesses, their laughter will become silence. Her words were cold steel wrapped in calm. That evening, Quentin delivered photographs. They showed Roman outside the warehouse with Armand, both smiling, both shaking hands near the SUV. Dates and timestamps glowed in the corner of each image. Undeniable. I added them to my binder. The story was no longer just about Roman's betrayal. It was about my family's willingness to erase me together. The following days blurred into preparation. I traced every dollar with Siobhan. She filed motions with precision, each one a nail in their coffin. Nadia gathered quiet allies. Harper from next door, willing to testify about the night delivery. Elliot, the storage manager, ready to confirm access logs. Even a clerk from the e-sign platform who flagged the IP trace as suspicious. Still, fear sat heavy. My mother's voice echoed in memory. Don't make things ugly, Evangeline. Keep peace. But peace built on lies is no peace at all. One night, I dreamed of the hatchback breaking down in the middle of the road. When I woke, I went outside and ran my hand across its dented fender. You carried me farther than they know, I whispered. You'll carry me one step more. Siobhan chose the battleground. Madeline's upcoming birthday dinner. A garden party with relatives, neighbors, and friends. The perfect mirror of the night they mocked me. Roman will try to parade the SUV again, she said. Armand will stand beside him. We will be ready. We rehearsed the sequence. Quentin would deliver the photographs. Siobhan would present the expanded injunction. Nadia would record. I would speak only the facts, calm and steady. I wrote those facts in my notebook, line by line. $70,000 deposit without consent. Forged e-signature with false IP. Transfers disguised as maintenance. Trust used as nominee. Brother's signature linking him directly. Truth simple enough to slice through their noise. The night before the dinner, I barely slept. Roman texted again. Don't ruin this, Evangeline. Tomorrow is about family. Accept the gift, smile, and everything will be fine. But I had learned that fine was his code for silence. I typed no reply. At dawn, Quentin called again. His voice was low, almost grim. We've just intercepted a new detail. Roman has arranged something for the party. Not only the SUV. Something else. A performance. He wants to twist the story before you speak. What kind of performance? I asked. Quentin exhaled. He hired someone. A notary. They're planning to present another document, supposedly signed by you, claiming you accepted ownership. My chest tightened. Another forgery. Another attempt to drag me into their lie in front of everyone. As Quentin's words sank in, Nadia's phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. It was a photograph of me at the cafe with Siobhan. The caption read, "We see you. Stay quiet tomorrow or more will surface." My hand went cold. They were watching every step. The morning of Madeline's birthday dinner dawned too bright, too clean. The air felt wrong on my skin, like a stage light turned too hot. My hands shook as I buttoned my jacket. Nadia sat at my table, her phone clutched like a weapon. They're watching, she reminded me. But remember, you've got the truth. Truth does not flinch. I drove the hatchback to my mother's house, the binder strapped to the passenger seat with the seatbelt as if it were a living thing. When I pulled up, the black SUV already sat in the driveway, polished so bright the ribbon gleamed in the sun. Guests mingled near the lawn, wine glasses glinting. My brother Armand laughed loudly, standing shoulder to shoulder with Roman. Both men looked like victors preparing to receive applause. Nadia muttered under her breath, "They've staged the circus." Madeline greeted guests with careful grace. She glanced at me, her smile tight, uncertain, almost pleading. Whether she knew what Armand had done, I could not yet tell. Quentin stood quietly under a tree, dressed like any guest but with a small satchel under his arm. He gave me a slight nod. Siobhan, in navy as always, arrived moments later, papers in hand. The team was assembled. The music lowered as Armand clinked his glass. "Everyone," he said. "Before dinner, a small presentation." His voice rang with practiced confidence. Roman stepped forward, keys in hand, grinning like a game show host. The crowd hushed. "This," Roman announced, "is my gift to Evangeline. Our gift, really. A way to show her that she deserves the best." He dangled the keys for everyone to see. "And today it's official. She signed the papers herself." Gasps and polite applause rippled. My stomach clenched. He was about to spring the forgery. Sure enough, a man in a gray suit emerged from the crowd holding a clipboard with stamped papers. "Notary present," Roman declared. "Here to confirm her signature." He smiled at me, his teeth white and hard. No more doubts. No more questions. The crowd leaned in, curious, eager. Roman extended the clipboard toward me. The top sheet bore my name and below it, the same forged signature I had already seen. Fresh ink, clean stamp. On the surface, undeniable. My knees wanted to buckle. For a heartbeat, I felt small again. Just as I had when they mocked my hatchback, just as I had when Roman first laughed louder than anyone. But then I caught sight of Nadia, phone angled discreetly. Of Quentin waiting with his satchel. Of Siobhan eyes like steel. I remembered the notebook in my kitchen drawer. The words written in my own hand. Fraud has witnesses now. I straightened my shoulders. That is not my signature, I said, loud enough for all to hear. And I can prove it. The notary frowned. Roman laughed nervously. She's just shy, he said. Ignore the dramatics. Siobhan stepped forward, crisp and commanding. Under court order, I present an injunction. She held the papers high. All transfers, all registrations, all documents tied to this vehicle are frozen pending fraud investigation. Murmurs surged. The notary looked uneasy. Armand's grin faltered. Madeline pressed her hand to her chest. Roman snapped. This is a stunt. She's bitter. She can't stand generosity. But Quentin moved quickly. He opened his satchel and pulled out photographs, handing them to the nearest guest. This is Roman and Armand at the warehouse, signing paperwork together, time-stamped. The photos pass from hand to hand, faces paling with each glance. This is coordination, not generosity. Fraud. Nadia's camera captured it all. Roman's face tightening, Armand stammering, guests whispering. Lies. Armand barked. Those are doctored. But Siobhan was ready. She produced the handwriting analysis, clear and professional. These signatures are inconsistent with Evangeline's. The forgeries are amateur, rushed, and tied to IP addresses traced to this very trust company. The notary backed away, clearly realizing he had been used. The audience shifted like a tide turning. Roman's voice cracked as he tried again. She's sabotaging family. No, I said firmly, my voice finally carrying. You mocked me. You stole from me. And you tried to erase me. But paper does not lie. The law does not laugh. For the first time that night, Roman's smile collapsed. Armand looked cornered, eyes darting. The SUV gleamed behind them. No longer a gift but evidence. Just then, a police cruiser pulled up to the curb. An officer stepped out, holding a sealed envelope. He called my name across the yard. Evangeline Whitford, he said. We have instructions to escort you to court for an emergency hearing tonight. The crowd gasped again. Roman's smirk returned faintly, like he had one last card to play. My chest tightened. An emergency hearing meant the fight was only beginning. The officer's voice silenced the garden. Forks froze midair. Wine glasses trembled in hands. An emergency hearing called tonight. Every head turned toward me. My throat tightened, but I nodded and stepped forward. I'll come, I said. My binder was still under my arm like a shield. Roman smirked, as if the universe had swung back in his favor. Finally, he said loudly so the crowd could hear. She'll be forced to admit the truth. Armand patted his back, grinning like a schoolboy about to see a prank unfold. Madeline whispered my name, almost pleading. Nadia squeezed my shoulder. We're with you, she said. Siobhan leaned close and murmured. This is good. If they've rushed the hearing, it means they're scared. We'll turn it against them. The drive to the courthouse felt unreal. The hatchback hummed beneath me, steady and unashamed. Nadia followed in her car. Quentin rode with Siobhan, satchel still clutched. By the time we arrived, night had fallen, and the courthouse lights glowed like beacons. Inside, Judge Pierce waited in chambers. He was a tall man with silver hair and eyes that missed nothing. We'll keep this brief, he said. The petitioner claims the respondent has filed false allegations to prevent transfer of property. His gaze landed on me. Evangeline, you may respond. Roman leapt to his feet first. Your Honor, she is inventing this case because she resents my success. I tried to buy her a new vehicle, something worthy, and she turned it into an accusation. She signed the documents herself. Here is the notarized proof. He shoved the clipboard forward. The same forged signature glared back at me. Judge Pierce studied it, then looked at me. Do you deny this is your signature? I met his eyes without flinching. I deny it. And I can prove it. Siobhan rose smoothly. Your Honor, we present handwriting analysis, certified by an expert. She handed the judge the report. The strokes, pressure points, and slant are inconsistent with Ms. Whitford's known signature. The analysis also identifies copy-paste patterns common in digital forgeries. The judge flipped through the report, his brow furrowing. Roman shifted uneasily. Then Quentin stepped forward with photographs. Additionally, we have evidence of the petitioner and his associate, Armand Whitford, engaging in the transaction together. This was not generosity. It was conspiracy. He laid the photos on the bench. Roman's face, Armand's grin, the SUV in the warehouse bay. Date and timestamp. Roman's color drained. Armand sputtered. Those pictures are doctored. But Siobhan had anticipated it. She handed over sworn statements from Elliot Shaw, the storage manager, and Harper Lynn, my neighbor. Each confirmed the delivery, the envelope under the wiper, the night movements. Judge Pierce read silently for what felt like an eternity. Finally, he raised his eyes. Mr. Hale, this evidence is damning. You expect me to believe Ms. Whitford fabricated analysis, photographs, and multiple witness statements in a matter of days? Roman opened his mouth, then closed it. Armand's face burned crimson. Nadia stood in the back, her phone recording. Her steady hands were proof enough that none of this was fabricated. I stepped forward, binder in hand. Your Honor, this is not about a car. This is about respect. My partner and my own brother mocked me, then stole from me, then forged my name to silence me. They wanted me humiliated in public, trapped in a lie. But the truth has weight, and I brought it here. I laid the binder down, its plastic pages glinting under the courtroom lights. Judge Pierce nodded slowly. The injunction stands. Further, I am escalating this matter to fraud investigation. The SUV will remain impounded. All related accounts will be frozen. And Mr. Hale, he fixed Roman with a piercing look, you may want to consult counsel. Forgery and theft carry penalties heavier than laughter at a dinner table. The words landed like a gavel. Roman sagged in his seat, pale and shaken. Armand muttered a curse under his breath. Madeline wept softly in the gallery. The judge signed the order. The clerk stamped it. The sound echoed like justice being carved in stone. When we stepped outside, the night air was cool and sharp. Roman lingered on the courthouse steps, his mask completely gone. He looked at me with hollow eyes. You'll regret this, he whispered. I met his gaze. No, I said, calm and steady. You will. Just then Nadia showed me her phone. The video she had recorded in court was already online. Within minutes, views began to climb. And the caption she'd added read, "From laughter to fraud, the truth about Roman Hale." Roman's humiliation was no longer confined to family. It was about to spread everywhere. The courthouse doors had barely closed behind us when the fallout began. Nadia's video spread like fire through dry grass. Within an hour, her post had thousands of shares, comments piling in. Some were shocked. Some laughed. Most were brutal toward Roman and Armand. On the courthouse steps, reporters were already waiting. Microphones reached toward me like weapons and shields at once. Evangeline, is it true your own brother was involved? One asked. What happens now for Roman? Another shouted. I kept my chin high. The truth is documented, I said. I don't need to add more. The law will speak. Then I walked past them, calm, binder in hand. Roman tried to follow, his words desperate now. She's lying. She's bitter. She'll come crawling back when she realizes she can't live without me. His voice cracked, carrying across the steps. Cameras caught every second. The crowd jeered. His image as the charming provider shattered in real time. Armand slunk to the side, his phone glued to his ear. He was already trying to call someone, maybe an ally, maybe damage control. But the world had already seen too much. Madeline approached me slowly. For once, her perfect mask was gone. Why couldn't you keep this in the family? She whispered, her voice trembling. Why make a spectacle? I turned to her. Years of swallowed words rose in my throat, and for the first time I didn't hold them back. Because you let them laugh at me. Because you stood by while they tried to erase me. I won't be silent anymore. She looked at me as though I had spoken a foreign language, then stepped back, unable to answer. Quentin leaned close. You did it, he said quietly. But brace yourself. They'll claw at whatever's left. He was right. That night, my phone lit with messages from unknown numbers. Gold digger. Ungrateful witch. He tried to help you and you ruined him. The kind of words designed to sting. But I saved them all. More proof of the narrative they tried to spin. Meanwhile, Nadia's video hit 50,000 views, then 100. Comments shifted in my favor. Strangers called me brave. Some wrote that they'd lived through the same. Partners stealing, families conspiring. My story became theirs. Roman's world cracked immediately. His company website crashed after social media flooded it with accusations. Sponsors withdrew statements of support. By morning, his clients began canceling. And Armand? His colleagues whispered. Deals stalled. His name, once respected, now dragged alongside the words fraud and forgery. But the most unexpected blow came at the garden party itself. Guests who had left early started posting their own clips. Roman dangling keys. Armand boasting. Me raising the binder and calling it fraud. Dozens of angles, dozens of witnesses. The internet pieced together the whole story like detectives. There was no hiding. At midnight, I sat in my apartment, binder on the table, hatchback parked faithfully outside. Nadia called, her voice buzzing with energy. You won, Evangeline. Tonight you really won. But I couldn't shake a heavy truth. Roman wasn't finished. He had whispered to me before, you'll regret this. And men like him, when cornered, don't surrender. They lash out. As if on cue, a new email arrived. Subject line, final warning. I opened it. A single sentence glared back at me. If you take this further, we'll burn everything you own. No sender name. No return address I could trace. Just a threat carved into digital space. My breath hitched but then steadied. They wanted fear. They would not get it. I forwarded the email to Siobhan, then to Quentin. Then I wrote one word in my notebook. Unbreakable. The next morning, as I prepared to leave for work, I found something wedged under my hatchback's wiper. An envelope again. Inside was a photo of me, taken through my own apartment window the night before. On the back, scrawled in block letters, "We're watching." The photo shook me more than the forged papers ever had. It wasn't just fraud anymore. It was invasion. Someone had been close enough to my window to watch me while I worked at my kitchen table, binder open, lamp casting my shadow across the wall. I gripped the picture until the edges bent. Fear crawled up my spine, but anger steadied it. They wanted me cornered. They wanted me to feel small. But I wasn't the same woman who stood in silence while they laughed at my car. I called Quentin immediately. He answered on the first ring. Found something? He asked. I told him about the photo. He swore under his breath. That's intimidation. Classic. Keep it. Don't destroy anything. I'll come by with a contact. Cybercrimes unit owes me a favor. Next, I forwarded the image to Siobhan. Her reply came within minutes. File a police report. The threats, the surveillance, they build a criminal case. Do not hide. Show them you are not afraid. Nadia was already at my door with 2 cups of coffee. When she saw the photo, her jaw tightened. They're desperate. That means we're winning. She set her phone on record, documenting my reaction, documenting the evidence. By noon, we sat across from an officer at the precinct. He studied the picture, the email, the binder of proof. We'll log this as harassment and intimidation, he said. It strengthens the fraud case. His pen scratched across the form. And if you spot anyone near your home, call us immediately. Don't engage. I signed the report. The ink felt like another stone laid in the foundation of my defense. Meanwhile, the world outside spun faster. Roman's company officially suspended him pending investigation. News outlets picked up Nadia's video, replaying clips of Roman dangling keys, of me holding the binder, of Judge Pierce declaring fraud. Headlines screamed, SUV gift scandal explodes into courtroom drama. Armand's downfall was quieter but sharper. Colleagues leaked internal emails tying him to the trust. By evening, his firm issued a statement. We do not tolerate fraudulent activity. Mr. Whitford is no longer employed. Madeline called me, her voice brittle. Evangeline, end this. You've embarrassed us enough. Do you realize what people are saying? I closed my eyes, then answered evenly. They're saying the truth. Maybe for the first time in years. And I hung up before she could reply. That night, my hatchback hummed again as I drove to meet Quentin and Siobhan. We gathered in a dim office, the blinds drawn. Quentin spread new photographs across the table. Surveillance shots of Armand meeting a man outside a hotel. The man wore the same jacket with the Finch crest. The conspiracy was deeper than Roman. "This is bigger," Quentin said. "Finch Estate Services isn't just a shell. It's tied to multiple vehicles, multiple names. Your case could unravel more than fraud. It could expose a laundering operation." Siobhan's eyes gleamed with a lawyer's sharp satisfaction. "Which means the authorities will be eager to pursue it. We will use that momentum. Tomorrow, we'll motion to expand the investigation formally. Roman and Armand thought they'd humiliate you. Instead, they may have pulled down their entire scheme." Nadia smiled grimly. "Imagine the look on their faces when the SUV they mocked you with becomes evidence in a federal case." For a long moment I sat in silence, absorbing it. The fear, the laughter, the humiliation, they had driven me to this point. And now their greed had overreached. I opened my notebook and wrote one more word beneath unbreakable. Justice. Still a part of me ached. They were my family. Roman was once the man I trusted. Armand was once the brother I admired. Madeline was once the mother I longed to please. But they had chosen lies, greed, and cruelty. And I had chosen truth. When I returned home, the street was quiet. The hatchback clicked twice as I locked it. I climbed the stairs, every step steady. But when I opened my apartment door, something stopped me cold. My binder was not on the table where I had left it. Instead, a single page lay neatly in its place. It was the photograph of Roman and Armand at the warehouse, except now someone had scrawled across it in red ink. "This won't save you." I stood frozen in my doorway, realizing someone had been inside my home. And this time they hadn't just been watching. They had touched the very proof I had built. I stood in the doorway of my apartment, the silence pressing in like a weight. The page with the red scrawl lay on the table where my binder had been. Proof that someone had stepped into my home. For a long moment I couldn't breathe. Fear whispered to me, they can get to you anywhere. But then another thought rose sharper. If they had real power left, they wouldn't need threats. They wouldn't need theatrics. I called Quentin immediately. Within half an hour, he arrived with 2 officers. They swept the apartment, checked the locks, examined the note. One of them shook his head. "Amateurs," he said. "They wanted to scare you, not silence you. If they had wanted to take the binder, they would have. Instead, they left this." Quentin pulled a small flash drive from his pocket and placed it in my hand. "I backed up everything yesterday," he said. "Every page, every photograph, every statement. Even if they burned your binder, the case is bulletproof." Relief coursed through me. The evidence lived beyond paper. The truth was safe. 2 weeks later, the court moved swiftly. Judge Pierce expanded the fraud case into a broader investigation, drawing in financial regulators and even federal attention. Finch Estate Services unraveled like a rotten seam. What began as a plot to humiliate me over an old hatchback turned into a scandal that consumed both Roman and Armand. Roman faced charges for fraud, forgery, and misappropriation of funds. Armand was indicted alongside him, his name tied to the laundering scheme Quentin uncovered. My mother's pleas for silence turned into desperate voicemails, begging me to stop the madness, as if I had ever started it. Lena tried to apologize, saying she never knew the full story, but I could hear the cracks in her voice. The SUV that had been polished for my public humiliation was towed, impounded, and tagged as evidence. Cameras captured it being loaded onto a flatbed again. This time not as a gift but as a symbol of their fall. Clips of that tow joined Nadia's video online, turning the SUV into an icon. From mockery to proof. And me? I drove my hatchback one last time. The dents and faded paint carrying me to the dealership. With frozen funds and seized assets, Roman and Armand could not stop me. I signed the papers myself, my own hand, my own name. The keys to a $70,000 SUV slid across the desk. Mine legally, mine freely. When I pulled into my family's driveway days later, the engine purred smooth as silk. Neighbors stared. Lena watched from the porch. Even Madeline stood frozen. No one laughed this time. Not at me. Not at my car. I stepped out, shut the door gently, and looked at the people who once tried to erase me. "You laughed at me," I said softly, "but you'll never laugh the same way again." Silence swallowed the yard. They couldn't answer. Because humiliation doesn't echo back, it sinks. That night, I parked the SUV outside my apartment and sat in the driver's seat, staring at the city lights. My hatchback rested at the curb, the car that carried me through storms. I whispered a quiet thank you to it. The old and the new sat side by side, symbols of where I had been and where I was going. This was never just about cars or money. It was about dignity. About being mocked until you believe you are small, and then proving that you are not. Betrayal can break you or it can carve you sharper. My family chose cruelty. Roman chose deceit. I chose the truth. The truth won. If you've ever been laughed at, underestimated, or silenced, remember my story. Silence is not weakness. Paper tells the story when voices fail. And dignity, once reclaimed, cannot be mocked away again. Subscribe for more stories like mine. Stories where betrayal turns into justice, where revenge is not rage but strength. Because sometimes the best answer to laughter is not anger. It's victory.